All right, Brendan. For your next assignment, I'm going to have you create a zero-based budget. And before you do that, there's just a short little video from Dave Ramsey that talks about budgeting. So watch that short little video, and then I'll walk you through the steps on creating your first zero-based budget.
Imagine you've just been promoted to the title of money manager for a company called You Incorporated. Your job is, of course, to manage the company's money. If you managed You Incorporated's money the way you manage your own money now, well, would you fire you? Don't answer that. You have to tell your money what to do, or it will leave you and go to someone else. A written budget for the month is your money goal. People who win at anything have written goals. Goals are what you are aiming at. Zig Ziglar says, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Your money won't behave unless you tame it. Your budget is it's the whip in the chair that makes the money behave. You have to be intentional with it. You can't get your head, you can't operate with your head in the sand. You know, you wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, so why do you spend your lifetime income of over $2 million without a plan? Well, there's too much month left at the end of your money. Well, it's because your budget doesn't exist or it isn't working. A study of Harvard graduates found that after 2 years, 3% who had written goals achieved more financially than the other 97% combined. You got to do it on paper on purpose before the month begins. Your budget is a written goal for your money. You need to set up a budget every single month. Don't try to have the perfect budget from the perfect month from heaven, because you never get one of those. Spend every dollar on paper before the month begins. Give every dollar of your income a name before the month begins. This is called zero-based budgeting. Income minus outgo equals exactly zero every month. Look at this month's income, at this month's bills, savings, and debts, and match them up until you've given every income dollar an outgo name. If you have irregular income because you're in sales, or you own your own business or something like that, well, we have a planning sheet for you in the Total Money Makeover workbook. And if you get paid on commission, you're self-employed, all that kind of stuff, it works for every bit of that. It's called the Irregular Income Planning Sheet. You still must do a written budget before the month begins. No one gets out. You got to manage money for You Incorporated. If you're married, you and your spouse need to agree on it, and well, sometimes that's the hardest part. If you aren't working together, it's almost impossible to win. If something comes up in the middle of the month that causes the budget to need changing, call an emergency budget committee meeting. You Incorporated, we're going to have a meeting. Talk it through, adjust what needs to adjust. The Wall Street Journal reports that more than 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So you got to break the cycle. Change your family tree. Live on less than you make. Save for rainy days. Live like no one else so later you can live like no one else.
All right, Brendan, if you were...
One of my favorite older movies is the comedy What About...
Sorry about that. If you were to go into the Google Classroom, you should be able to scroll to the bottom, and the next assignment you should see is a zero-based budget. I'd like you to click on that. And what I want you to do here is I just want you to kind of make an educated guess or an estimate on how much money you think your future income would be, what those taxes would then look like in terms of coming out of your paycheck, and then what would you be spending on each one of these sections on a monthly basis. And I'll walk you through that. Dave Ramsey talked about maybe normal America. Normal America, you're going to earn between $1 to $3 million in your lifetime. And so how are you going to manage that? And he talked about, if you were the CEO, how would you manage the company's money? Well, you are the CEO. You're the CEO of Brandon Bushy Incorporated. So how are you going to manage your money? So when you go to this spreadsheet, just change the career. So again, if this was me, I would put maybe high school teacher. And then what do I think a high school teacher is going to make? And let's say I think a high school teacher is going to make $30,000 a year. Now, most high school students understand that Taxes come out of our paycheck. And again, if I'm making $30,000, how much do I think is going to come out in terms of my taxes? Again, no wrong answer, just an educated guess. And let's say I think, $7,000 is going to come out of my paycheck or out of my check. So when I punched in the 30,000 here and the 7,000 here, it spit out an answer on how much net monthly income I would have. And this is the amount of money that I would have to spend then every month with these different items. And so what the zero-based budget is, you are just assigning every dollar amount to one of these categories. So again, there's no wrong answer. The only thing that I want you to do is to make sure that your net monthly income equals your total expenses. So I would take a look at food, and let's say I like to eat, so $500 a month I'm going to be spending in food. And you can see then down here, 500 would come up. If I look at housing and, I think I'm going to spend another $500 in housing. So as you punch these in, this number will change. And the goal, and I'm just going to punch in utilities here of $916, I want you to spend all of your money. So this number and this number, I suppose if I punched in 67 cents, they would then equal. Once you have completed that, just turn that in. Again, there's no wrong answer. You do not have to do research on what you think a high school teacher would make or any of those things. We will do this in more detail as we move on throughout the class. So when you're done with this, just turn that in and move on to the next assignment.